Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV, and it's transfer rumour time. We're also going to have a look at what's happened to the squad after all these players have been released. But before we get into the detail, let's introduce. We got Jack and Lee. How you doing, Jack?
Hi, Simon. Great to be on.
Yeah, good to get you in there, mate. And Lee, he's back on. Lee was here for the squad analysis. That was a good video. Went really well. And we've also got Darren. Hi, Darren.
Hi all. How are we doing?
Are we good? Just for information, these guys haven't had much notice, so I'm not expecting too much in-depth analysis from them. It's just opinions of players that you sort of happen to be aware of. The guy that does have some knowledge, we're going to test him out. We've got Gabriel Sutton's with us. He's on his way from somewhere.
Hi,
you doing, Gabriel?
right.
You okay? You all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks, pal. How are you?
Doing good. So, as I say, it is late notice. So, the only people we put on the spot is Gabriel, really. As we saw, the Walsall squad has been decimated a little bit. We look now. We've got now first choice keeper, and Lee was just saying before we went live, Tommy Jackson. We thought he'd be back up next season. It looks like he's on the way out. So that's another one there. Centre halves, we're doing well on centre halves, and we've got cover with Rowling, and of course Rio Sawyer's in there as well. If we wanted to play back four, we're struggling for full-backs with just Joe Fowkes. So, rumours of goalkeepers, first of all. Let's get back so we can see your guys' pretty faces. Oh, it's brought the camera. Hang on. It's coming back. It's doing it now. That's it. So, Richard O'Donnell would be the first one. He's announced that he's not going to be going on with Bradford, so that infers that he's got something lined up already. What's the likelihood of that happening, coming back to Walsall, and what's your thoughts if that did? Who wants to go first? Go on, Jack.
I just think with this one, I'm not sure of the move for him really, because of the location. I know he's got two young lads. I think he's got a lad and a girl. Sorry. And I know we've had him before, and for us, he was a brilliant keeper. Obviously, he played at Wembley for us. But to me, it's just a strange one, really, because I know when he left us, he went up the leagues. Did he go to Rotherham and Wigan after us? And he played Championship football. Yeah. For me, it seems like he's fallen out of favour at Bradford, actually. I think he's only played maybe 20 times this season, and he's only kept 3 clean sheets all year in those 23 games. But for me, if we're going to go for a keeper, I think we put our faith in someone maybe around 24, 25, because Richard's going to be coming towards the end of his towards the end of his career soon. And for me, I think we need a keeper that's going to be in between the sticks for maybe the next 3 to 4 years. Because if you look back over the last few years, obviously Rushworth this year, we've only had him for 1 season, and we've had numerous keepers that have come in for maybe 6 months to a year and then gone. And for me, that keeper position is a really important position, that you have consistency, because a keeper can see everything on the pitch, can command from the back, and is, I think, one of the most obviously important players.
I think it's all part of building stability in the club, isn't it? Lee, what are you thinking?
Pretty much the same with Jack. I think also looking sort of to the youth and the lack of goalkeeping cover, I think we are looking for 2 goalkeepers. So maybe if we could get a experienced goalkeeper, then a younger sort of understudy would probably see us for the next sort of 3 to 4 years, like Jack said. But also, I think with the way Flynn is going to sort of set the team up and want to play, I think we're looking for that sort of goalkeeper that's confident to play the ball out from the back, whether that's like with his distribution, both with his hands and his feet. Because I think that's probably what, if you notice in quite a few of the games, with obviously Carl, with his distribution at times, he got us going on the front foot. And I think that's something Flynn will want to carry on. So we'll be wanting a goalkeeper that's got that confidence to carry on that.
Yeah,
sort of
I think we got lucky with Carl Rushworth in fairness. What's your thoughts, Gabriel?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lad at Hull City called Harvey Cartwright. They reckon they're going to loan him out. And I think we've talked about this before, Simon, that sometimes you can get a really good quality of young goalkeeper on loan in League Two, because there's goalkeepers that could be good enough to play in League One, but that League One clubs overlook for experience. I'm not sure I'd be so keen on the Richard O'Donnell option unless you brought him in as maybe a goalkeeping coach or a mentor of some kind. But then you've got Mike Taylor there, haven't you? So I'm not sure about that one. I know he was a brilliant goalkeeper previously, but I'd look for someone younger myself.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's like, do you want to go back, sort of thing. It's a difficult one, isn't it? What's your thoughts, Darren?
I think he made the best save I've ever seen when Beckford against Preston in the auto windshield or whatever it's called, semi, where 0-0. I also think Smith did a credible job with him, because I think he has flaws, and Smith designed a system that covered them up. And you've probably seen that in the fact he didn't work at Wigan, and he's kind of drifted around since. It's a no from me, not least because Walsall was too far for him to travel at one stage. And it's a no. We're not a convenience. We're a football club. So
yeah,
no.
I think that sort of that does kick it down a little bit, really. There's one player that sort of has come up. He's an older, more established keeper, Sam Slocum, currently at Notts County. Obviously Oxford, Blackpool, and Bristol Rovers. He's sort of got that experience between the sticks. Is that somebody perhaps who could be a backup keeper, or would he be a keeper that would come in and hold the number one spot?
I mean, it's hard to attract a good backup goalkeeper, isn't it? Because on the one hand, if you're saying to someone, "Come here and you'll play in the cup," and maybe the odd league game if our existing goalkeeper is injured or something, is that the sort of person that would take that offer? Someone that you want to bring into the football club? So I feel like my stance would be maybe give it to someone from the youth team, the backup, and then use the emergency loan system if you absolutely have to bring in a goalkeeper. I don't really see the point in signing, precious part of the wage bill on someone that's only going to play 5% of the season. So I'd rather just go for a really good goalkeeper myself.
Yeah. So as you say, a young player from sort of one of the higher leagues, similar to Carl Rushworth, and that is a risk, isn't it? But it's one of those. Any other thoughts on Slocum? Anybody?
Not necessarily on Slocum, but I absolutely agree with Lee and essentially what Gabriel's just said. We need an experienced goalkeeper that you can rely on, and somebody coming in the background. It'd be interesting to see when the Premier League clubs release their their youth players and their under-21s, their academy, what's knocking around there, because I think Flynn's alluded to looking in those kind of pools of players. So
yeah. That's I think Walsall have got to sort of supplement the squad with some quality players like that. It's a case of how many you can put in there before you mess up things. The debate over Shade is still open, but I'm firmly in the let somebody else develop him and move on category. I don't know what you think about that, Jack. I know we're jumping around a bit.
I really like Tyrese, actually. I think from the first game of the season away at Tranmere, you could see the defensive side of him. And I turned to my granddad and said, I've never seen a winger defend the way he did today. And obviously throughout the season, he had good patches and he had rough patches. But for the last how many games he's been played in the wing-back position, I think he's been very good. And for me, I would have liked to have seen us sign him. But obviously, Tom Helsop, the media manager, has put a tweet out, and I'm not sure if all of you are aware, he's definitely been released by Leicester.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And Tom Helsop put a tweet out that seems to say, like, we have said goodbye to Tyrese completely now, and that he wishes all of the loan players luck in the future. And to be honest, that kind of puts me off thinking that he's ever going to come back to the club.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know everyone's opinion on George Miller, really, because a lot of people have got mixed opinions on him.
I'm happy to jump onto Georgie Miller, to be honest, as a conversation piece. Obviously, for me, he's very similar to Flash Gordon. He runs around a lot, occupies defenders, but the primary role of a centre forward is to score goals, and he don't do it.
He's not merciless.
He's not merciless, exactly. He again, the amount of chances George Miller has had, he should have had 20 plus goals. He should have had 20 plus goals. He's missed so many chances. He's had so many chances, and he's just not taken them.
I suppose the question would be, and just throwing it out to the floor, really, where, if you're having a system that relies specifically on like pressing the opposition back and pressing the opposition goalkeeper for 90 minutes, maybe George Miller might suit that kind of system if it's specifically for that. But maybe his limitations possibly sometimes outweigh his strengths. But you could never doubt him based on work ethic or anything like that, because he's clearly got that running power. Yeah.
I think the his defence was he was playing up front on his own, and like a thankless task, really. But since he's been playing in a 2, his strike rate has not increased.
But do you think, Simon, if he played in a 2 with a more established strike partner, he would be better? Because I know Brendan's done a job there, but Brendan's not an out-and-out striker, is he? No. So if Miller had that out-and-out strike partner and they did have a partnership, would that bring the better side out of Miller as well?
Well, I think Miller is very much a confidence player, isn't he? So it's one of those. Do you want to depend on somebody who goes quiet and loses their confidence so quickly?
Just to back up, sort of add to Lee's point, Brendan Kiernan, I don't imagine you'd think of him as a back-to-goal player. I mean, if I look at him at his best, I saw a couple of games earlier in the season where his main strength was just hitting the byline really quickly and bringing that pace and directness to the table. So he's probably not someone that's going to necessarily play back-to-goal and bring someone like Miller into the game, I wouldn't imagine.
No, I think I think that we need a different approach. I think Kiernan, I'm amazed how he was taken out so often and didn't play as many games as I think he should have done. He was created more from assists and goals than Miller and Al-Sadibi, really. But he wasn't seen as in as much favour.
Simon, I think we noticed the chances Miller's missed, partly because we create so few chances. If you I watched City Wolves last night, and Sterling missed 2 absolute sitters, and then scored or then created another one. And I think we notice the misses because we can't afford to miss, because we create so little. If Miller had got 6 chances a game, he'd score, and he'd score 1 or 2. But we'll go weeks without creating anything for him, and I think that's relevant. I think he's a better player than when he arrived. I think the 30 games or whatever the season he's had with us, he's learned a lot. He can lead a line now. He might not get you 30 goals in a season, but when you're going into a season without knowing what you're going to score, for me, I think I'd be interested, I have to say. You know what you're going to get, and we're in a position where we can't afford to get it wrong. Sign 2 strikers who don't score, and we're going to make Oldham look good.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Jack?
With George, I think obviously I 100% agree with what Darren said there about us not creating enough chances. So we obviously, they're highlighted when he does miss those chances. And the other thing with him, I actually think the service that he gets is atrocious. They expect him to chase everything that gets lumped forwards. Anything that lands between the keeper and the defensive line, he must be on the end of it. There's never anything played through to his feet. And for me, with George, the ball has got to be played alongside him straight through. So he's put through one-on-one.
Yeah.
And as you've seen, that's where most of his goals have come from this season. It's where he's gone one-on-one against defenders, out-muscled them, and gone straight through on a keeper. But yeah, if we were to sign George, I think we need someone who's a big battering ram alongside him. Because if we are adamant on playing direct football, then there's got to be someone that can actually win the balls that are being lumped forwards.
Yeah, I think it's that balance, isn't it? I think the somebody in the cam role that can put a player in, or the that striker that's going to be able to create his own chances and hold the ball up. My biggest gripe with Walsall is there's just no aerial presence. That's my biggest gripe. I have a few names that I don't know whether anybody know of Connor Lemonheigh Evans. He's
He's a goal-scoring midfielder, I think. I think he's been on loan at Torquay for the last couple of seasons from Bristol City. They seem to rate him quite highly up there. I spoke to one fan earlier, actually, who's followed Torquay, and he actually said that Lemonheigh Evans might be a consideration for Bristol Rovers going into League One. So presumably he's got the ability to certainly play in the EFL and could be one to look at for Walsall if you're looking at maybe an attacking, advanced goal-scoring midfielder.
Yeah, and there's another player that I think, I wouldn't say there's a rumour around him, but he's recently been released by Cambridge. Wes Houlihan. What's your thoughts on him?
He's certainly got the quality, hasn't he? I
Yeah,
think the question would be sort of managing his minutes. I think where Cambridge had a lot of joy with Wes Houlihan was saying, we'll play you on Saturdays, but we won't play you on the Tuesday night. So he generally had a full week to sort of recuperate. So I think that's probably a good idea, good thing to do with older players. But I don't know if I'd look for Houlihan because I think he's 40 now. That would be a bit on the older side for me. I'd probably look for someone only 40. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he has gone past that point, hasn't he?
I was going to say, Simon, the sort of name I've sort of seen, and maybe could be an interesting one, is also at Notts County at the moment. Is it Kyle Wooten?
Kyle Wooten, yes, he's one on my list. He's more striker, isn't he? More centre forward.
I think if we was going to keep Miller or had any chance of signing Miller, I think he could be a good partner for Miller or for somebody else, because I think he's done pretty well at Notts County. I think he's got something like 42 goals in about 80 appearances.
Yeah, it's 41 in 87. He's only played 18 games this season, though. I don't know why that would be.
But he's got some EFL experience as well before his stint at Notts County. It hasn't always worked for him in the EFL previously, but he's had a bit of grinding, so he wouldn't necessarily be new to the level. And he's got some quite good physical qualities as well. So I could see the appeal with that one.
Yeah, I quite like the look of him, actually. I saw a few clips of him earlier, and he looked like he was a capable guy, can use his head, and that's the attacking guys that we need, isn't it?
Born in Kidderminster, Simon.
Pardon?
He's born in Kidderminster, so he's local.
So that's another reason where he could come back. Carl Wooten, I think he's definitely one that would do a good job for us, I think. And as Gabriel says, he was in the league years ago. But he was quite a young lad then. I think Stevenage, wasn't it, he was playing with, and didn't do that well for Stevenage. But at 25, he's sort of at the age now where he's sort of matured and starting to hit the ground running, sort of thing.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I think that's certainly one that Walsall should have on their radar, but it's going to be really important to get that striker position right.
The my top selection, I've got two players, and if we get both of them, I would be sitting back, hands behind the head, ready for the beach. First one of those, 26-year-old Courtney Baker Richardson. Courtney Baker Richardson.
I think he's supposed to be quite a strong centre forward. He's played up top with Dom Telford for Newport this year,
That's
and
it.
at times they formed a really good partnership because Baker Richardson's quite strong. He can bring a bit of quality from outside the box. He scored a couple of lovely left-footed goals this season. The only issue with him is, and probably the reason why he's playing around League Two, is because he's had injuries in recent years, and that's probably what's held him back. So that would probably be the risk that you'd be taking. But I think he's got the quality that you need, and he'd bring that physicality as well.
He's one from the elite management team, which Mike Flynn's part of. So that's a connection. I think he did sign him previously, and then because of injury, he didn't really play for Flynn. So we know that Flynn's a fan of his. He can use his head as well. And the key thing for me, he's turned down an offer of a new contract at Newport.
Oh, okay.
So that could be pointing to a move has already been agreed, perhaps. Could he be one of the 4/5? Any thoughts on him, boys? Anybody else?
I know he was born in Coventry, so he's another kind of local lad, as you say. I think he scored 8 in the league this season.
8. 1 with his left foot, 5 with his right, and 2 headers. But six of those in the 6-yard box. That's the kind of poacher that we're missing.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you're looking at a striker though, and he's scoring 8 in a team that's creating chances with probably the best attacking midfielder in the league with Finn Azaz, and probably the most informed striker alongside him, you maybe think...
No, but he hasn't played that much, though, is what I would say. I don't have the stats to hand, but I don't think it's necessarily been starting every week. I think sometimes he's been injured. Sometimes James Raybury, who's Newport's manager, has gone with Rob Street alongside Telford rather than Baker Richardson. So I'm not sure that the goal stats alone are necessarily give you the whole picture.
Yeah,
I agree.
31 appearances this season. We're saying not all of those would have been starts.
Yeah.
I think the link to Flynn is pretty evident. In fact, he's turned on something at Newport. He's clearly going to be on our radar. As Gab said, the injuries, given we've got Wilkinson out, given we've got Labadie out, injuries are going to be something we can't afford. Anyway, but I guess he'll be on the radar. As for scoring in the 6-yard box, I think we played 53 times last season. I don't think we actually got the ball in the opponent's 6-yard box. So we're going to have to improve on that if he's going to score.
Don't know if you got it into the opponent's box, Darren.
Pardon?
Don't know if you got the ball into the opponent's box, let alone the 6-yard box.
There were afternoons where that's true.
That's definitely one I like. There's also Ashley Naderson. He's from Crawley, 9 in 39 for 6 assists, which is quite credible. He's with Crawley at the moment, but he's out of contract with Crawley. So he's another one that I think has all those Crawley players that got signed up a couple of months ago with the new Wagme deal. He's one that hasn't. And his calm finish against Leeds is one that took the headlines. But 8 goals from inside the box. So another one who's a poacher.
Yeah, he's one that likes to run in behind a lot, even though he's sort of towards his late 20s. I think he said now he's
27, yeah.
27, yeah. He's still got that element of pace about him. Not like doesn't got searing pace or anything, but he can still, get a yard over defenders and things like that. Quite good movement, and I've always felt there's potential for him to have a really good goal scoring season in League Two. Generally, he sort of seems to be around the 10 mark most seasons. I've not got the stats exactly to hand, but I think it's around that most seasons.
Yeah.
But I think that the concern for me would be if you play him alongside Miller, who's going to be back to goal, because neither of them would necessarily want to do that. I mean, I suppose Daz has mentioned that Miller's got better with his back to goal, but I still think that you'd probably rather have more of a physical presence alongside Miller if he's the one that you're keeping as first choice next season. So yeah, I'd probably lean more towards Baker Richardson than Nadesan, although I think in the right system, Nadesan could be a decent striker at this level as well.
I was thinking of a combination, Nadesan and Richardson.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Am I going greedy, boys?
No more than usual, Si.
we live in hope.
Nadesan, Richardson, Miller, and Devante Rodney. We're going to one season with no strikers, and we're going to go into the next one with 4, are we?
Well, we need at least 4 strikers, Darren. We need at least 4 strikers.
That's the other question. If it's going to be 3-5-2, then you probably do need 4 strikers that you'd be happy with starting.
Yeah. And I think 3-4-3 is an option as well. So attacking wingers like Rodney is really a sort of a right side of a 3, isn't he? Jack shaking his head. Go on, Jack. What are you saying?
Sorry, Simon. I think you got to remember that Wilkinson is coming back sometime between, I don't know, November and March. Let's say January for the sake of it. Well, I think we're more likely to see kind of a young lad on loan first part of the season because they'll want to get Wilkinson back.
Did I say Wilkinson? In my head, I said Rodney. That's what I was thinking. Did I say Wilkinson?
Yeah, I think you did say Rodney.
You said Rodney, but I kind of on top of the 4 we discussed, we got Wilkinson coming back as well.
Yeah, I think we can't count on Wilkinson or Labadie for the season. If they're back before the break in November, if we get him one, we'll do well.
Simon, this is where I thought sort of a couple of weeks ago when sort of Luke Pearce's name got mentioned might come to the fore, because obviously Southampton are looking to get him out into actual EFL football, and he came back to Walsall on loan with sort of a short-term loan initially till sort of Christmas. Could that sort of be a bit of a stopgap, which will sort of benefit us and benefit sort of Southampton?
Yeah, I think he's still only 17 now, isn't he? He's still a very young lad.
But if he's good enough and he can score the goals, doesn't matter what sort of age they are, does it really?
I suppose. There is that one youngster that Jack's already sort of briefly mentioned, Finn Azaz, as a cam coming on loan from Villa, perhaps.
No chance.
I think he'll get a League One move, Si. No, he's won a title at this level previously with Cheltenham. He's played for Newport and done pretty well. I think he'll get a League One move myself.
Yeah, I think he's out the window then.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because he's been the top performer for Newport, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been very good. I think, maybe Cheltenham in League One might get him, but I don't think he'd probably want to go to League Two for a 3rd season himself.
No. How about another player out of contract at Sutton, Alistair Smith? 8 goals from midfield. 22, fit within our young midfield. Yeah,
possibly. There's a few at Sutton that are out of contract that I quite like. So it'll be interesting to see who goes for some of those players. But yeah, Ali Smith is a talented player, and he's got a knack for. There's been a couple of games I think where he's grabbed a brace, so he makes some quite well-timed runs. He's got a decent build about him, so I could see the appeal there.
Yeah, I think he's a Walsall kind of player. I think I could really see him sort of settling in from the clips I've seen of him. He's just the kind of player we want. Anyway,
I've got to shoot, Simon, but thanks so much for having me on the show. It's been great to chat to you lot.
Thanks for popping on, Gabriel. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, see you guys.
No worries. All the best to the Saddlers.
Cheers. So, Alistair Smith is one. Coming back to the strikers, Luke Armstrong, Harrogate. What's the thoughts on him? 12 last season, 13 the season before, 28, solid striker.
Again, I think he's going to be a bit more of a target man, from what I gather from him, Simon. I think he's again about 6'2" and got that sort of physique where he'll sort of hold the ball up, win the sort of the headers, the flick-ons. So then it's sort of who you're going to play alongside him.
Yeah. If we kept Miller, probably somebody like Luke Armstrong alongside him would probably be a benefit, I think.
But I don't think we're going to keep. I don't think we're going to keep Miller, are we? Going back to what Jack said earlier on with Tom's tweet, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the sort of the lone players are going to come back in any form.
I think that the biggest problem with Miller, and I think the comment that Mickey Flynn had mentioned about some of the players' wages that they wanted, he was probably referring to Miller, because having got the money of the Championship, he wouldn't want to come down back to League Two money, would he?
No.
And having scored 12 goals in a struggling side, a lot of people might be looking at him thinking like they can do a job with him. But of course, my unfair comment, which was first touted about Dale Banton when Walsall had him from Oxford many years ago. He'd scored about 5 or 6 goals for Oxford, and we thought, if he comes to our team, he's going to do much better. If he can score several for a very poor side, I'm sure he'll do better for us. But then after we got Dal Banton, we realised that the reason that Oxford was struggling was because he was their centre forward. And so maybe that's a little bit unfair on the guy, but a few smiles tell me that you know the same. What's your thinking on that one, Jack? Do you know much about Luke Armstrong?
Not too much. I know his goal scoring record, and I mean, for the games he's played, it's not too bad, really. He definitely seems like a bit of a northerner to me, though. With some of the teams he's been, they're all in very similar areas. But just going back to what we said about bringing in Luke Pearce, I think over the past 5 years, our recruitment of young lone strikers has been awful. We've brought in many players. I think, was it like Dan Ajayi that we brought in?
Yeah.
Then obviously you saw Derek Ossior more recently.
Oh, Del Boy. Don't talk about Del Boy. I break out in a rash if you mention him too much.
But there's many players that we've signed in strikers that we've come on loan from teams like Portsmouth and Burnley and things like that, and you think, oh, these could be all right. But really, we've recruited them off footage that we've watched in an under-23s game. And for me, with Wilkinson coming back between those months of November to March, if he comes back the player he was before he got injured, to some degree, he's going to be like a new signing. Because if we've got 3 strikers at least that are doing the business, and you bring him in as well, not only does it offer competition for the last 3 to 4 months of the season to boost those goals in, it also gives us an option wide. It also gives us an option straight down the middle. And I mean, Connor is also a player I think runs on confidence, because there's many times during the season where something goes wrong and his head goes straight down and he becomes a different player. But as soon as a goal goes in, he'll chase every ball, he'll put every tackle in, he'll pass every ball. And for me, he's the same as George, really. If you've got a team around him that's boosting his confidence, that's keeping him going forwards, then he's going to be probably up there in the top players in this division. He can score 15 in the season, I think, easily.
I suppose it was like Swindon on Saturday. They looked like a team of world beaters, but they were just all very confident and positive.
Oh yeah, 100%. And who's the guy that they've got up front? The number 9. He's got long hair. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's
his name.
the guy I talked about. Tommy, you haven't watched me preview if you forgot that one. I'm going to try and remember his name now. I think
he's the Australian lad, isn't he?
Yeah. My head's gone clear now. Come on, who's remembered him?
But
my memory for names is terrible. Is
it something like Davidson?
Davison, that's it. That's
it.
Josh Davison, that's him. We'll have him.
Well, I don't know about if it's having him, but for me, he was there. It wasn't about him scoring the goals, but he was still there. He was causing a nuisance in the penalty area.
It's that physical presence. As much as George Miller will run round and chase and harry, you get somebody like that Davison, and they're all worried about him.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody.
when they beat us at their place 5-0, his head down for one of Louis Barry's goals. That was just a perfect sort of setup. That and that's the difference, isn't it? I thought he hadn't scored that many, but I mean he hasn't been there all season for them, so he's had a very good return.
I think when he signed, that was when they clicked back into form again, because they started to slip out, didn't they? And as soon as he signed, they clicked again. And I know it's a name that every Walsall fan hates, but the name Andy Cook, not signing him, we need a player of his size. Although he isn't the quickest player, although he isn't the slimmest player, and although he's not the fittest player, he's there in the right place at the right time, and he scores the goals. And
physical presence.
Exactly.
During every game, we'll have corners, we'll have free kicks. We'll also get a free kick on the halfway line. They pass it around for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Every other team we play get a free kick on the halfway line. If they need a goal, that ball's into the box. But if when you've got nobody up front who can head a ball, you're struggling, aren't you?
Yeah, but if you look at our back line as well.
Darren's laughing. Go on, Darren, jump in.
Jack, you've started me now, mate. You've started me. Andy Cook, no. Just for we're talking about Miller not scoring enough goals. Andy Cook got 12. Miller get 11. Andy Cook got 12 this season, playing up front for Bradford. Played more games than Miller. They can have my season ticket back if we get Andy Cook. Sorry.
Yeah, it was
and
more
also,
about...
Jack, I was just I was having a dig around while you were talking about poor youth kind of loan signings from the past. Justin Shoibu from Brentford, and Goy from Stoke. Yeah, Ote from QPR. You're right. We've had some really poor decision making. Tyler Roberts is probably the one that stands out as the opposite, but. But I'd be interested in Pearce, as Lee said. Pearce, he's 17, he's raw, he's broken into above his age group at Southampton, and he'd be of interest to me.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Obviously, he's young, he's raw, but there is a huge difference between youth football and first team football, and obviously we've seen that with the names you just listed. I mean, for me, it'd be a good signing for him to be there as a cover, but he wouldn't be starting every game like Miller would. I wouldn't say Miller would start if we could bring in 2 other strikers. But yeah, definitely bring him in for 6 months till Christmas, until January, see how he goes. And if he does pick up the odd goal off the bench or the odd start in the cup, then yeah, extend it more than happily, as long as obviously they're happy. They're going to split the wages, because I'll be happy for him to come to us. But as long as that's not costing us too much and not taking from anybody anywhere else, then yeah, more than happy for him to come in and play for us.
That's sort of where I was looking at it from, Jack, as well, because like obviously we have got a budget, and obviously I know with Labadie and Wilco out, obviously we're hoping the insurance is covering sort of that cost. But then if we sign like we said, another striker on a 2-year deal, and then Wilkinson gets himself fit, it's sort of, I'm not saying we're wasting money, but if we had Luke Pearce in on that 6 month till Christmas, and then sort of Wilco's near enough back to fitness, it might work out quite well for us. And also, if Luke Pearce did well, and Southampton were happy to extend it, and we could extend it, I mean, I don't think it's that much of a gamble in that terms.
No, I think we still. I think Darren, you jumped on Jack a little bit there. I think the
sorry,
when he was referring to Andy Cook, he was talking that type of player, not that particular individual.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
well, I just got triggered with Andy Cook, mate.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, Simon, Saturday when we was watching the game, didn't we, like somebody like a Brett Angel for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you know, that sort of who can, like we said, not lightning fast, and you never think he's going to ever win a foot race with anybody. But like you just said, if we got a free kick or a corner, he was there, wasn't he, making a menace of himself, sort of thing.
There's loads of times when the cart horse of a big centre forward does nothing all game, looks slow as anything, but then the corner comes over and bam, he's got his goal. We've seen it again and again, and Walsall haven't got that kind of player. And we haven't had that kind of player for a few years. Well, since Cook left, really. Not wishing to over-mention Andy Cook. We've got a few comments I'm looking on here. Charlie Austin, he's looking for a new club. I don't know whether we'd get him, would we? Jack's shaking his head. He doesn't like the sound of that.
I think he's trouble.
He's trouble.
I think he's somebody that could rock the dressing room completely if you were to bring him in.
Definitely. Yeah.
He's played at such a high level, and he still can play at that level. I mean, I saw him play this season. I went to QPR against Rotherham in the cup, and the guy's attitude stunk. He got took off for about 65 minutes. The guy walked off into a closed stand, ripped his shin pads off, chucked them across the floor, sat down, and refused to take photos with two young lads that walked up to him. And I mean,
okay, we got that then. Okay, we put that aside. Per, our friend from Sweden, is mentioning, what about Davis Kyler Dunn at Oldham, attacking midfielder, 17 goals? Is he available, though? That's the same thing. Same agent as Miller. Contract expiring in June. Maybe that's a player.
Yeah, but again, if we're going to sort of play the sort of 3-5-2, does he fit that?
It's at front. It's the front of that diamond, effectively, isn't it? That cam roll.
Well, isn't that where we want Jack Earing to sort of be eventually?
Well, Jack Earing or Perry. That'd be the one. One thing that we want to be very careful about mentioning is we now Kinsella as one man of the match, player of the season again, and we've had a lot of positive comments about Manny Month. Is it possible that Manny Month might get taken away from us, and Mickey Flynn might use some extra funds from that, perhaps? Bit of wheeling and dealing. What do you think?
So
I've shocked you now, haven't I? You weren't ready for that one.
But I sort of mentioned this to you before, Simon, and I've thought about it. And do you think anybody in League One would come in for him? Or would it be another League Two club? Maybe one of the League One clubs that are coming down to League Two might be interested, or one of the National League teams coming up into the league, i.e. Stockport or
Wrexham, perhaps.
Wrexham. But could he go to League One?
I suppose the fact that he's got another year on his contract means there'd be less people interested with all the amount of people on free contracts. Paying transfer fees is something that will probably protect him or protect us from losing him, perhaps. The reason I sort of touched on that, there's one centre-half who's done very well this season and he's turned down a contract, supposedly still in talks, is Dan Sweeney at Forest Green. He's 28, good experienced player, can play in the midfield or centre-back.
I mean,
I think he's more of a left-sided centre-back for them, isn't he, Simon, as well? So could you see a back three of him, Month, and Daniels?
Yeah, perhaps. I'd like to see Hayden White playing right wing back more because I think he's excellent there.
Yeah, I think the thing with Sweeney is obviously they just lost Rob Edwards. So you don't know if he's going to buy some time now. He's going to sit there, look around until a new manager's appointed. And if a new manager comes in with a project that he likes, sweet talks him, he'll happily sign another contract, because I can't see him dropping down a level when he's already at a club that wants to sign him in League One. But somebody of that, because I think we're quite predominantly left-sided when we play a back three, because you've got Daniels and Month that like to be over on that left side. Yeah. And we, apart from Hayden White, we lack a right-sided centre-half. So I think that's what we should look for, obviously. And I think the problem is with our back three, we've got 6'4", 6'5", 6'4", and the last player to score a header was Ash Taylor from a corner.
Yeah.
we should be utilising that. That should be an area because we are so tall at the back. It's unbelievable. I don't remember the last time we had a back line this big.
No. Yeah, we've got some height there. We still concede free kicks and corners. That's all they're all comparing how tall each other are, I suppose. Right then, we have Joe Riley, Carlisle wingback. That's been touted. Do we know anything about him?
I think he'd be a good signing for us. I think he would fit into that wing back role quite nicely for us.
Yeah. I don't know much about him, to be honest. Darren, do you know anything about him?
Not a great deal. Watched a bit on YouTube in the last few days. There's one clip where he nearly runs the length of the field, and he looks like he'd be a nice fit for us in that area. But in general, I don't know about him. Not a great amount.
There's another player, another Newport guy out of contract, Mickey Demetriou. He's 32. Are we getting a bit nervous of signing these old players, or is that a player that perhaps Mickey Flynn would know and maybe bring in?
I think Mickey Demetriou is a very popular player for Michael Flynn, and I have seen a couple of Newport fans suggesting that there are a few rumours in their camp that he's off to us. Actually, I think that'd be a good signing. Really, he's been very consistent for Newport over the last couple of years, and I think a lot of Newport fans love him. And I think the same with Joe Riley. Actually, Joe's a big advocate amongst the Carlisle fans. They love him, and they were desperate for him not to leave. So that suggests he does something right. He must be like their version of Kinsella. He may not be the best technically, but when he pulls on the shirt, he tries 100%. And that's all you can ask for, really, from a player, as long as they try. And I think that's what we should look for, really. Someone that's going to wear the badge with pride, because we've had a lot of players that pull on the shirt and obviously don't respect it, but don't give all that they've got.
It's when we sort of touched on earlier about players, confidence players. You need some players in there that aren't particularly confidence players. They just do it, like Kinsella. Kinsella's the same every week, and he's excellent and committed every week. And Hayden White is another one. Al-Sadibi, perhaps not. He's still, strictly speaking, in talks. I don't know if that's just because he won't answer the phone so they can take him to officially or not. I don't know. But Al-Sadibi, we sad to see him go, anybody?
I think I've said this before, Simon. I'm very sort of 50-50 with him. I think on his day, he's sort of he can be, and he's one of the best players in League Two. But how many of them on the day does he have?
Well, not enough.
He's sort of,
not enough is the word.
He's a luxury player, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he doesn't do it enough. It takes him half the season to get going. Then when he does, he's good every two or three games. He sort of does well. So it's not consistent enough.
Yeah, like you said, this season there's been games where you look at him and you think he could be quite easily a League One player.
Yeah.
But then there's other times when you look at him, you think he doesn't look bothered, or he hasn't turned up today.
I think you'll go to somebody else in League Two and have a similar season, I think. Before we wrap up, there's one more player I'd like to mention. I'll tell you a couple of the ones I've had a run through. First of all, there's one guy. Where's he gone here? Callum Roberts, Notts County winger. But Dipo Akinyemi, he's 18 in 37 for Welling United, 24-year-old. So he's a bit of a wild one. Tristan Abrahams, young striker at Grimsbury. Then we've got, who's this next one? This is it, Michael Smith. This is the one. 6'3", 30-year-old, 52 goals in 188 games for Rotherham. 19 last season in League One. He's out of contract. And he's one of the elite management agency guys.
Yeah. I think that could be a possibility because of the link with the same with Flynn's sort of management agency. But I think he'll have a few offers on the table, to be honest with you, Simon. So I think it'll be our wages compared to what he gets offered from other teams.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of them at 30. How much do you want to push the boat out for him?
Yeah. But again, I think if we got him, he would do a job and he'd be a good signing. But again, is he going to be within our sort of wage bracket?
Yeah. It's a difficult one. Right then. So we definitely need 4 strikers. Is Rodney going to come good?
I would like to think he would, but I doubt it. I hope he does come back and gets a good pre-season under him, and then in the friendly games we have pre-season, he gets on, he gets a bit of confidence. But I don't think he will, to be honest with you, Simon.
No.
I don't know what Darren thinks.
Yeah, I was writing a blog earlier for and I got onto Rodney, and the deal made no sense at the time. It didn't work for Taylor, didn't work for Fullerton, didn't work for Rodney with him being injured, didn't work for the football club. It's a long way back. I think you have to give him the benefits of the doubt and assume he wasn't fit, and give him a pre-season to have a look. Flynn might have made his own mind up before that anyway. Lee, I wouldn't argue with anything you said.
We've got Ronan Mayer and Shay Willock. I think they're going to be coming into the fold, or one would think, next season. It's whether they sort of how big an impression they can make.
I think Shay's the interesting one there as well, Simon, sort of, because he could be that sort of bit of the physical presence we've been missing.
Yeah.
And again, I know he's young and he's got a lot to learn, but I think the determination and the desire he would put in, I don't know. I think it could be a bit of a surprise package for us in the odd games. I think he'll get a few. Hopefully, he'll get a few cameo roles, and I think he'll do okay.
Yeah, and I think Ronan Mayer perhaps may even slot into a cam role. But I mean, he can play sort of either role really, sort of as a second striker.
Yeah,
but we can clearly see there though we've got no strikers. We've got no strikers. No. Just very quickly, midfield. Rory Holden.
This is the key to me, Simon. We could talk about strikers all day, but if we got nobody who can create chances for them, it don't matter who you've got. They're gonna struggle. And for me, this is the area he's got to get right more than anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we have Jack Payne from Swindon? What do you reckon?
I think that you mentioned Sam Perry earlier, and it's the goal he scored against Paul Vale broke between the two strikers, and he got on the head of whoever's cross it was. I can't remember.
Davies, yeah.
But the fact he broken between the two strikers, we don't have midfielders that do that, and it's probably a lot easier to defend against Miller and somebody else when you haven't got somebody busting a gut from midfield. That Keane does it from time to time, but for me, that midfield and getting somebody mobile, somebody who can get in front of the strikers, and score the kind of goal that Perry scored the other day, and contribute in that way he's really important.
I know it's going back a bit now, but Frank Lampard, what's the name, Gerrard, and Brian Robson. Those kind of players who are coming through at that point. That's the kind of player everybody wants, I suppose, isn't it?
I guess so, yeah. I guess, but there's there will be lower division versions of that. George Dobson did it, didn't he, for a time?
Yeah.
Joe Edwards kind of did it, although I was never the great Joe Edwards fan, but he was looking to get into the penalty area. I honestly, Kinsella, Labadie, I don't think they know where the penalty area is.
The thing is, he tried against Swindon. He had Liam Kinsella playing further forward, and I guess he was trying to just win the ball higher up the pitch, which worked, but he didn't know what to do with it. He's not going to do anything with it. Why Jack Earing keeps playing further behind Kinsella and the likes of Labadie, it just doesn't make sense. Perry, he's much more forward thinking, and he needs a bigger run of games. Could he slot into number 3 there and have those 3? Kinsella at the back with Earing and Perry sort of rotating and switching.
I think we need some more quality in there, mate. I take what you say, but I think we need some more quality in there.
Yeah,
that's the place I'd be looking.
Yeah, that number 3, like Darren just said, that's where we need that person who's going to sort of have that little bit of quality to unlock defences, because we're going to come against some teams next season that are going to be more defensive minded, and we need that player who can pick the pass out or go on a run themselves, like Darren's already said. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Rory Holden comes back to pre-season and gets a pre-season under his belt.
Yeah, I think when we did our squad analysis video, Rory Holden, if he does come back, he's not going to play 40-odd games. He's not going to come back and play every game.
No.
After that length of break, he's going to have little breakdowns. He might sort of be okay, but I mean, he'll still have breakdowns. The wing backs, that's where we need to sort of generate.
I was just going to say the wing backs, because if you sort of look at Forest Green, they got quite a lot of joy in most of their games from their wing backs, didn't they?
Kane Wilson, yeah, he's out of contract with them as well. He deserves to be looking for more money somewhere else. We just mentioned Shade again briefly. Was it 39, 40 appearances and no assists for somebody in that wing back role? 2 goals. That was free kick and one excellent finish. But I mean, no assists.
I think
so. As Darren was saying, creating. We don't create enough chances. That's where you want to be creating chances from.
I think that's where we've got to be better next season, is the wing back positions and that sort of creative midfield player. Them are sort of going to be sort of the 3 key sort of signings for next season, I think.
Yeah.
Simon, it's not a dig, and I joked about Kinsella not knowing where the box was earlier. I'm not having a dig. He's just one player of the season with no goals and no assists.
Yeah.
You get different qualities from him, but playing in central midfield, you would still expect the odd assist or the odd goal.
Yeah, I think maybe it's something Lee and I have sort of discussed separately. I think in some ways, if Kinsella went, that wouldn't be too bad a thing, because, as you say, he doesn't create. He's an excellent CDM, but he doesn't create anything going forward.
Yeah, I think he offers us quite a bit in terms of winning the ball back, in terms of the press and covering. But we need, you can't have him and Labadie playing there again next year, although Labadie's injured, obviously.
Yeah.
You've got to have somebody that's going to create, somebody who's going to break, somebody who's going to give the strikers the opportunity to miss from time to time.
Yeah.
And that for me, that's where I'd be spending.
Got you. Okay, right then. We should leave it there. That's been a good chat. I've had lots of comments. I've sort of missed most of them, so I do apologise for that. We don't want Miller was one from Daniel Arrowsmith, which I can understand that comment. There's ups and downs, isn't there? Get Tom Bradshaw back. Talk about a guy he had a few injury worries, didn't he? And I'd feel better if we had Kevin De Bruyne. Well, wouldn't we all, Justin? And then McCurdy, yes, we got McCurdy. I think Swindon will do well to hold on to McCurdy if they don't go up. I think they'll do well to hold on to him if they do go up. But there we go. So we'll have to see whether any of our predictions or any of our rumours come true. But the ones working with Elite or working at Newport are going to be the most likely, I would think. So thank you very much. We'll be back when the news comes out. These 4 or 5. If we'd signed 4 or 5 last Saturday and we're now on Thursday night, why haven't we heard about any of them? It's all gone quiet. Right then.
You've got an interview with somebody at the end of the week, haven't you?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I'm talking with Lee Pomlit, Walsall chairman, tomorrow.
The club tend to release news when things like that happen, mate. So
maybe
you may well be getting us a signing tomorrow.
Well, that'd be good. He likes to have something for me, and I had asked for the meeting a couple of weeks ago, and he'd sort of been on holiday. So now he's back. He'll be signing some checks, perhaps, as Mike Flynn alluded to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow with Lee. I did sort of mention just before we went live, I'm due to have Rob Williams on, but I think the media team are getting a bit jealous of what I'm doing, so they're trying to scupper it, I think. But we will see whether that happens. We'll see. I'll mention that to Lee Pomlit, I think. I'm just wondering whether I should be honest about the media team or whether I should be nice. What do you think?
Well, isn't that the same thing, Simon?
Being honest about it, being nice. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I think that'll be an interesting discussion. Nice one. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Simon. Cheers, Darren.
Cheers. See you soon.
Nice one.